You're listening to WXOJ-LP 103.3 FM Northampton, Valley Free Radio. This is Screaming for Change. Welcome back to another episode of Screaming for Change. You just heard Out of Breath from the band Blame the Victim. As always, I'm John, your host, and on this show, we play the best hardcore every Monday night from 10 to 11 on Valley Free Radio. This week, I'm welcoming a very special guest with an episode that's a little bit unlike my previous co-hosted episodes. As you may know, usually we do a few quick questions and then my guest and I play some songs together based on a predetermined theme and then chat about why we picked the songs and whatnot. Today's episode, things will be woven together a bit differently, using lyrical themes about mental health and sobriety as our thread. And all of the songs played today share the same vocalist, Mr. Christopher O'Coin. It's hard to know where to even start because he has a lot going on. But since this is a hardcore radio show, let's start with hardcore. Chris has served as vocalist for a slew of hardcore and punk bands from 2001 to the present, including Blame the Victim, which you just heard, Wasteland, Aerosols, Commons, Suburbanite, Mean Man's Dream, Absolute Power, and currently he's in a great punk band called Permanent Class. He's originally from central Massachusetts, the greater Worcester area, if you will, and has been one of my close friends since our UMass days. Once upon a time, he worked at 22 News, and I think of him every time I see their vans around the valley, but he left us, and he's lived in New York City since 2010. He's found great success in his field and has worked on a ton of different projects, honing his craft as a video editor. While his work sometimes crossed into the world of hardcore with projects that included bands like Terror, Slapshot, Sick of It All, God Forbid, and Have Heart, he's also had major professional roles at Vice and Frontline, with credits ranging from editor to writer to producer. He's the first person to be on the show who isn't straight edge, but he is sober, and he has an Emmy, so we'll excuse it. I'd like to welcome my dear friend, someone who was so heavily influenced by punk values as a young person, and he's held on to those values close to his heart for as long as I've known him. Those values permeate his character, his work, and his lyrics. It's undeniable and admirable, and I'm happy that he's here. Welcome to Screaming for Change. O'Coin, how are you doing? And I usually ask, how's your edge? So how are you doing, and how's your sobriety?
That's good. Thanks for having me, John. My name's Chris, and I'm an alcoholic. How's that? That's pretty good, right? My sobriety is great. 9.5 years.
Congrats, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. 10 years, that's the X in September 1st. But I bought myself an X watch on my 3-year sobriety anniversary. So, and I should have worn it today. I was on the drive up here. I was like, oh man,
you had your chance and you blew it.
I know I blew it. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, man.
And congrats. It's a very flattering intro, and congrats on the show. And I'm always proud to call you a friend and love watching what you do, listening to what you do.
Appreciate it, man. So we kicked things off with Blame the Victim. I'm pretty sure the first time that I saw you was watching this band play in a dorm basement. I was trying to look through, I have like this document where I keep all the shows that I went to. I stopped doing it maybe in like 2011 or something. But I think the first time I saw you was at a Blame the Victim show, maybe in like Van Meter basement.
Is that right?
It was the A-Team.
Yeah.
And you guys played that, right?
Probably. I think Therian booked like every show in the UMass dorms at that point. Therian, who was in many of these bands with me. A-Team, we definitely played with. It might
have been the Suicide File. Did you play the Suicide File show?
That show was. We were terrible at that show.
Well, that was my first impression.
Oh my god, we were so. Suicide File. We were so bad at that show that the singer from the Suicide File was like talking to Therian, and he was like, "Oh, you guys are good. You've got like a real like Infest ABC No Rio thing going on," which we did not. Which was just another way of saying, like, I don't know, it sounded ridiculous and crazy and sloppy. You must be a power violence band or something, you know? So, like,
that's hilarious.
I'm sorry that was your first.
That's all right.
Can I ask a question about that show?
Yeah.
Do you remember if we opened with the Andrew WK, like, it was like the I Want to Party or something intro?
I honestly might have missed the beginning of the set.
Okay, fair enough.
I was probably alone, and I probably walked across Orchard Hill by myself and was like, "Who are all these people?"
Yeah, fair. That was Doug's idea, for the record.
Thanks, Doug. We're gonna just jump right into the next tracks, and then I have some questions. So the other two songs are "Sincerity" and "Regret," so we're gonna let those play through. Enjoy. All right. So once again, we are here with Chris O'Coin, and that was Blame the Victim. Of all the bands that you've done, this is the least documented and the hardest to find anything of on the internet. You know, being the mysterious guy, hardcore guy, it's even more mysterious.
Sure.
The mysterious guy, hardcore. So maybe give us like a kind of a rundown of like what was the deal with this band? This was your first band?
Yes. For all intents and purposes.
So what were you guys like going for? What was your, why did you pick the songs that you picked?
Yeah. So, to keep it brief, like it started, we were super into like street punk at the time, when it started. And, me and Therian, I think we're getting progressively more into hardcore as the band was in existence. And there was some crossover there with like, we were really into a band called The Trouble, and members of The Trouble, I think, were in My Eyes. And there was a lot of sort of, where you would go listen to a hardcore band. And we started to hear like 10 Yard Fight and In My Eyes and some of that Boston Youth Crew stuff and getting into that. And the sound sort of started to evolve. And as the band continued to exist, like changed, Therian got really into Cleveland hardcore. So Nine Chucks, Terror, Gordon Soley, MFers. See, you like that?
I could
be on the radio.
Good radio.
So we got more into thrash, which I think these two songs are what people called thrash, I guess, at the time. These two songs kind of reflect that evolution. And then later, the band we went through a lot of lineup changes. We had a lot of members, one of whom is currently sitting to my left, Mr. Jeff Natick.
Shout out Natick. Coming on for a 90s episode sometime soon.
Nice.
90s metalcore.
Yeah. Looking forward to that one for sure. You play Barrett, I assume, and things. Okay, I'm getting the nod. So we went through a lot of lineup changes, and eventually it kind of became Wasteland. So much so that the last Blame the Victim recording, which Jeff is on, was like the first Wasteland release, which is a split CDR with No Trigger from Worcester. I think that's a pretty good summary, but that was kind of the evolution of it. And Wasteland is explained by we started listening to From Ashes Rise and Tragedy, and got more into that sort of stadium crust sound, if you will.
I mean, and this is like before I got to UMass, but I do know like was Therian, were you guys interacting with a lot of like the Western Mass kids? Because I feel like all of like the Pittsfield kids and the Westfield kids were like super stoked on the Cleveland stuff too. So was that related or not related?
It was like kind of related. Weirdly, it sort of happened just from like file sharing and Therian buying records and stuff.
Oh, Grindcore Lincoln on AIM.
Yeah, exactly. So that's from a Wasteland tour joke, actually. We used to play Mad Libs in the van, and that grindcore Abe Lincoln was a Mad Libs joke.
It feels wholesome.
Yeah. It was very funny to us at the time. I don't remember why it was so funny. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, no, we wound up at the Westfield Halloween show.
Yeah. The infamous. I don't even know if we can talk about that on the radio. I'll get my show canceled.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it like kind of limited. But it was the year that Tear It Up played. Somebody got horrifically injured. It was like quite a thing to just kind of wind up at. And I think we wound up there because Tear It Up was playing and we had started to listen to them or one of the bands. And so that lineup for the record was like Dragnet, Tear It Up, Last in Line, maybe Cut the S was playing. Mm-hmm. Also, I don't remember if they were a band yet. Yeah, it was like wild. Fireworks, circle pits, prop moshing, all the things that kind of define the Westfield, Western Mass experience. And I had seen Last in Line play with the A-Team in Worcester before that.
Yeah.
So we were like kind of familiar with it. But we had met people that year. This is 2001. We had met Sean Tucker, who was in The Prowl, and Steve Elin, who was in no bands at the time, but was in Pieces before that. Mm-hmm. And they kind of were our bridge to that scene, I think, is how we wound up there.
Cool. I'm going to keep the music going just because I'm trying to keep an eye on time because I know you're a yapper.
Sorry, man.
The next block, we're going to play the song Fading Light by Wasteland. And that's going to go straight into 4 Aerosol songs, which I think altogether are shorter than the Wasteland song. It's close.
And we could talk about the mental health sobriety connection.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let's get into it. that was, like I said, Aerosols. In this time period, the three of us were hanging out a lot. Our friends were doing a lot of bands, booking a lot of shows, going to a lot of shows, and I saw a lot of hardcore bands during this time. Wasteland was always one of my favorite bands, if not possibly my favorite band to see live during this time of my life. I still feel like listening to that first track there, feeling real nostalgic when I listen to that EP and that LP. And I guess there's
a video on YouTube of me punching you in the face while we were not that song, but
I should try to make an edit of that and post it on the Screaming for Change Instagram. Yeah, classic. Right at a cymbal hit and the flash of a photograph, you punch me in the face.
It looks like I Super Saiyan you. It's awesome.
Our theme here was supposed to be sobriety and mental health. I don't associate Aerosols with sobriety.
Oh, it's definitely not. I mean, it is insofar as it's like a rock bottom sort of moment, but yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you said you wanted to talk a little bit about Wasteland, but also I'm just kind of curious about like where your head was at like during these bands, like how things were going, like what you're writing about with these records, because Wasteland has the 7-inch, they have the LP. Aerosols has 4 7-inches and an LP.
Yeah.
And then Wasteland has the split with no trigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like why'd you pick these tracks? Like how are you doing in this in this time period?
Yeah, badly. To put it kind of lightly, but I was struggling with undiagnosed anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder. And I was an alcoholic, something I inherited from my genetic line. But yeah, so basically I wanted to play songs that kind of represented this picture of my mental health throughout the years. And I realized in like kind of putting this together that during Blame the Victim, I had written like 3 songs about mental health struggles that I didn't even really know I was exploring yet. They were just kind of like frustrations. And then, Wasteland was really more of a protest band, I think, for the era, for the Bush era.
Yeah.
It was more of a political band, but there is like glimpses of that. And specifically that song, Fading Light, was very directly about being newly diagnosed and being on medication to manage these things. And every time we played it, I felt like very emotional about it. And I started sort of, doing like less talk, more rock, speechifying at Wasteland shows, specifically around that song, and being kind of open about it. And I remember at our last show, really stopping everything and kind of saying, this song's about mental health. And I've had, thoughts, dark thoughts before, and I want people to know that you're not alone, and that, there's better days ahead, and there's help out there if you need it. And that was always, it's kind of my approach in why I wanted to talk about this stuff, is because I believe personally in being like radically transparent about my struggles in hopes that other people won't feel so isolated and alone, because I had a lot of really hard time like speaking up, asking for help throughout my life. And the thing about some of these mental health issues is that you do not necessarily, they're kind of deceptive. You don't think you have a problem. You think you're just sad. And it's a lot more than that. And a lot of those mental health struggles are tied to my problem with drinking. I think you drink to deal with a lot of those things. Aerosols was, again, a rock bottom kind of go for broke nihilist endeavor. Also a protest band, but like a ton of the Aerosol songs are about struggles with mental health. And also the seesawing of mental health struggles, which is like this, I'm on medicine, the song, and they deal with like being on these drugs to deal with your psychiatric issues. And then also the next record will be like, I am not on these drugs anymore, and I hate all the doctors who prescribe them to me, and I reject them. And that's been my journey. You go from one thing to the other, and I'm constantly on and off medication. And I feel a little guilty in hindsight about ever saying one thing is better than the other, but that's kind of the nature of it. And so that's why I wanted to play all this stuff and talk about it and be open. And yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that's like sick about hardcore and punk that I feel like sometimes I miss when I go to shows now. I keep thinking about there was this, and this is not so much about mental health, maybe more about politics, but obviously, like you said, both of these were political bands.
Yeah, they're related.
You saw the picture of like the kid in like a Have Heart sweatshirt with a MAGA hat on.
Yes.
And somebody had posted it and just said, we need to talk more in between songs. And just, I know there's some people who really like can't stand like people who go on and on their soapbox and stuff. But it's like, for me, that was like what I love. Like when I first started going to shows and like Bane or like when people are on the stage really kind of bearing how they're feeling, like what their opinions are, I feel like we need that. Like I went to a Sick show, a little while ago, and the bands were great, but like nobody said anything in between the songs. And I just feel like the world is crazy. And it's like, I need that, I don't want somebody to feel safe wearing a MAGA hat to a hardcore show.
I mean, I always love that about the between song banter too. I mean, I think, when I was younger, and still one of my favorite bands, the second band I was obsessed with after Guns N' Roses was Rage Against the Machine. And part of the reason I loved Rage Against the Machine was because of Zach's like speeches between songs, which were super passionate and very articulate and informative. And I would buy bootleg CDs from Albums in Worcester. Shout out Albums. It does not exist anymore. But I would buy bootleg CDs of Rage just to hear what Zach said, playing a show in Tacoma or something, and so yeah, no, I always felt I love that stuff too. I mean, I guess there's like a line, like I won't name names, but like played with bands where like it's like kind of like, okay guys, like you don't need to talk this much, but certainly some banter. The inside jokes is kind of an annoying trend in hardcore, but it's also fun too. I mean, whatever. But I'm sorry, I'm yapping.
No, it's okay. I mean, I think it's easier now too. It's like, oh, Aucoin wrote a song about like this specific thing that happened during the Iraq War. Like today, you can just look that up on your phone, like right there. And I feel like back then, it's like, even now you're like, oh yeah, that song was about this book. You should read this book. And it's like, that's a little heavier of a lift. I just feel like it should be easier for people now to be able to like understand that stuff and like look back at that stuff and kind of educate themselves. And I don't know how many people are.
Yeah. Well, having said that, like, I mean, look, there's like obviously different styles. Like if you went to a Wasteland show, I might do a lot of talking, but if you saw Aerosols, there was no talking. You know what I mean? It was just like, there was no, you leave people to figure. I guess that's part of the mysterious hardcore
the mysterious
charm.
Guy,
yeah, was not talking and being completely blackout drunk when you played. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't all be one thing, but I think you're right. Like I think the talking and having beliefs and ideas is the magic of the genre in a lot of ways. And certainly what, informed me, taught me how to see the world. We also grew up in, everything's been crazy since 9/11, I think. But like I started college, 9/11 happened when I was a sophomore, the Bush Wars, the Iraq, Afghanistan. There was a lot of learning in that time sort of about how the world works. So
yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna keep it moving here. We're getting into the Galambus Records segment.
Oh boy, do you tell listeners that you run a label? Ran a label?
We'll say past tense. Yeah, because I had Timmy and Michael on, so we talked about like the Sobriety High stuff and the Gift Horse stuff. But yeah, I mean, let's tell the radio world about the gift that I gave you today.
Oh yeah, thanks, John. John knows I live in New York City in a 1-bedroom apartment with my partner and our dog. So he gave me all the leftover Commons and Mean Man's Dream cassettes. If you want one, I'll just send them to you. Yeah, I have a storage unit, luckily, in New York, so I can put them there with where I have a box of Wasteland LPs and a box of Absolute Power LPs and a box of Suburbanite LPs.
So basically, you know where to go if you like any of this stuff.
Yeah,
you just got to reach out to O'Coin.
Yeah, I can just send you a care package, man. Yeah.
So speaking of Galambus Records,
I also did. I did guest vocals on Sobriety High. Is that one that you released?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It is,
nice.
because I actually didn't remember that, but when I was looking at, it's on your Discogs page.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's listed.
Wow.
I think it was probably Michael.
We did it live
there.
one time. It was the day before the Boston Marathon bombing.
Oh God. So yeah, running a label is interesting. I'll talk about that in a minute. But this band Commons, which we're going into,
I have not listened to this in a while.
It took us a little bit. Shout out to Michael, who actually had the MP3s. I could not find. I have a bunch of the tapes that Chris has now. I couldn't even find this.
Yeah.
This is a band that it was 2 acoustic guitars,
Yeah,
and then O'Coin screaming. Yeah. And they played one show, and I put their tape out.
It's not quite screaming.
You can be the judge if this is screaming or not.
It's not meant to be. If I did it now, it would be less scream, certainly.
All right, let's listen.
Another day, another fucked up month in decay. We plan our lives that slip away. A stable light that slowly fades. 'Cause we're going to die alone, and all our plans won't make this hollow. This is the end, and you know, don't you know? No, no, no. We're cruel and we can't resist. We consume ourselves with this obsession, dependent and hopeless. Empty lives, ain't this a shame? Some people, they just don't change. Let's withhold and run away while we put fingers and blame. Cause we're going to die alone, and all our plans won't make this hollow. This is the end, and you know, don't you know? No, no, no. Maybe one day you'll find someone who isn't so damn lost, who doesn't hate the man that is become. Every time I swear to laugh, every time I swear to laugh, every time I swear to laugh, it's last, it's last. Every time I swear to laugh, every time I swear to laugh.
So we heard that track from Commons and then went into Options from Me Man's Dream. Both of these were cassettes that I put out as an early 20s person who had like a professional job. This was just kind of my like, oh, I have disposable income. I'll just put out my friends. Oh, hold on, you're not on. I'll just put out my friends' records, which was super cool. The Mean Man's Dream stuff was basically everybody in Wasteland and Relics minus Michael. Is that correct? Minus Michael and Jasper?
Yes.
So it was those two bands combined minus members of Gift Horse?
Brad wasn't in it.
Oh, Brad wasn't in it either. Okay. What... I had a question for this one. Sorry, that CD messing up is...
It sounded kind of cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to fix it in post?
We can.
As we say?
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. That's fine.
I just like Mean Man's Dream, and I feel like nobody's heard it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, yeah.
We can throw those in. So I guess my question on this one, so Me Man's Dream's last show, you guys played a memorial show.
Yes.
For a woman named Stephanie DeBona.
Yeah.
That was in Middletown, Connecticut. I know, that was, I think I met Laura that night.
Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And you,
I know what you're going to ask me about.
You were newly sober, I'm pretty sure, or like somewhere in that journey.
Yes.
And I guess when I think about this era, I'm just curious, like going from somebody who was a part, I'm not going to say you were like a partier because I feel like people make assumptions, but like you
Oh, I mean, I like to drink, man. I mean, yeah. They can make assumptions. I'll be very candid about all of them.
Going from that to sobriety, like how does that change, like being in a band? How does that change going to shows or like relationships with your bandmates, some of whom like are very much not sober? Like,
yeah.
What was that like?
Well, so first of all, I'd just like to say, shout out to Steph, who was a huge supporter of Mean Man's Dream, maybe the only supporter of Mean Man's Dream, which is why we played. That was technically a reunion show, and it was a very emotional experience. So in answer to your question, I was newly sober. I got sober in 2015. So it's like maybe 2 or 3 years. I think that show was in 2018 or 2019. You're looking it up.
Yeah, it was 2019, February 23rd, 2019.
Yeah, so I remember that because what's interesting about it is what I thought you were going to bring up, and I don't know if you remember, but that show was like the first time I had left the house in a while because I was coming out of like a deep depressive episode.
And the work stuff. Okay, yeah. No, this is coming back to
I had
me now.
taken I had literally taken a medical leave from work, which is the first and only time I did that. And I just spent like a month on the couch while I got back on medication and sort of clawed my way out of this one of the worst major depressive episodes of my life, where I was like monotone. I didn't eat anything. I lost a ton of weight. And was in and out of therapist's office, doctor's office. And it was a really traumatic, difficult experience, but one that, and I think one of the themes of why I wanted to do this episode was, at the beginning of when it started to get bad, I was really afraid to tell people it was getting bad. And then when it got insurmountable, debilitating, I had to tell my boss, I was at Vice at the time, that I needed to take a leave of absence from work because of my state. And I was really scared to do that and raise my hand basically and say like, I'm not okay. And he was very, very supportive, and everybody around me was very, very supportive. And it really made a huge difference. And I think that's kind of what I'd like to remind people is if you're struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help. It can be very daunting, but it can really help you, give you that little sliver of hope you need in times like that. So I'm sorry, and that was like a huge digression. But what was your question again? Was being newly sober, and I remember playing that show feeling particularly raw because I didn't think I could do it. I was in such a depressive state. And that was the first time I saw you. I saw Therian. I saw Matt Swift. Shouts to Matt Swift and Ryan. It was the beginning of me pulling out of that. And I remember on the drive home feeling a little better and my partner Laura being like, you know, thank God you're finally kind of smiling. You know what I mean? Being newly sober and being in a band, it changes everything. It changes everything about your life. You know, you stop getting calls from the people you used to go out drinking with. You start getting more calls from your straight edge friends who are like, hey man, are you okay? Like, I'm lucky to be blessed with multiple people who have never sold out. Shouts to you and Billy Solomos and Therian and Michael and Mark.
Mark's still straight edge.
I think he's still edge, yeah. As far as I know. So yeah, people reach out. So things change. Things for the better, for the worse. Playing sober is hard, but you get used to it and it gets easier, and then before you know it, you're doing karaoke sober at a bachelor party, and that's like boss mode
and killing it, I assume.
I did pretty good. Yeah. I did karaoke the other night actually at a art gallery holiday party where I knew nobody, and I did Heaven and Hell, Sabbath, Dio, and Fairy Tale in New York because it's Christmas.
Well done.
Thanks. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I really went off on a tangent.
No, it's okay, man. I'm going to give this another shot. We're going to hit you with Too Late from Mean Man's Dream. So you just heard the song Stop from the band Suburbanite. And before that, you heard At War by Absolute Power. And that block started off with Too Late by Mean Man's Dream. So a few things on this. I had to look this up. So for me, Suburbanite and Absolute Power, I feel like are the two bands from out of your bands that I'm the least familiar with, because I never saw either of them play live.
You didn't see Suburbanite?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
So I had to look. So I said I have this document where I kind of keep track. So I saw Wasteland 27 times.
Really? We played 27 shows?
I saw Aerosols.
Shocking.
I saw Aerosols 10 times.
We played 10 shows. I mean, this is surprising.
I saw Commons the one time.
That's the only time we played.
Mean Man's Dream, all the shows were after I stopped keeping track of what shows that I went to, but I think I found at least 3 kind of looking through. So Mean Man's Dream was Facebook era. So there's a Mean Man's Dream Facebook. So I looked on that, and there was definitely at least 3 shows.
There's a Mean Man's Dream Facebook?
There is. That's where I just found the flyer for that benefit show. Yeah.
Wow.
So a few things about these groups. So both of these arguably could be considered like super groups. So Absolute Power has Mark McCoy, so like from Charles Bronson and The Oath, Chill Will from Orchid and Ampere, our friend Chris O'Coin here.
Orchid and Ampere and 1,000 other, and mastered every record you've ever heard.
And then Andrew, who I just think of as Andrew from Bones Brigade, but listed as Andrew from Failures in Boston. Andrew was in the Boston Strangler? Or his Discog's wrong?
No, he was. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Shout out to Andrew.
And Cut the S.
Yep. That one I knew. And then also Even Keel.
Yeah. Wait, no, and Confines.
Yeah, and Confines.
Great band.
Good job, Andrew.
Confines.
And then for Suburbanite, that was also
Ian Jackson was is in both of them. Absolute Power and Suburbanite. Who is in Miasmatic Necrosis, and that I ran into him. He's the fill-in drummer for Uniform.
Cool.
And I've seen him play with Uniform a few times too.
And then
a lovely man. Shouts to Ian.
Shout out to all these dudes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, so that dude is also in Suburbanite, and McCoy's also in Suburbanite. You're also in Suburbanite, and also, most importantly, Matt Wilga.
Correct. Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Wilga. Shout out to the Cancer Kids and Bucket Full of Teeth.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And a revolving cast of bassists in Suburbanite also.
Solid.
Shouts to Matt Wilga. Obviously, legend. Western Mass legend?
Heck yeah. So Matt Wilga's the man because 1, he loves the Pist. 2, he loves the Celtics.
Correct.
So that's my dog. This is your New York life. Neither of these are like Western Mass bands. I guess Will's in one of them.
Yeah.
But what's the deal? Just talk about these bands.
Well, Absolute Power's first show is in Western Mass also, for the record.
And
it was at Cold Spring Hollow. Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't come to that?
I've never been to Cold Spring Hollow.
What?
Yeah, I got no noise cred out here, dog.
Wow. Okay. Jeez.
So embarrassingly, I mix these bands up all the time because they're like the 2 bands that you sing for.
That's okay.
That I like both of them, but in my mind, they're like one, I don't know which is which.
I always forget that Wilga was not in Absolute Power. And I always go, you remember when we played? And he's like, I wasn't in that band. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
So differentiate between these 2 bands for me. What was Absolute Power? What was Suburbanite? What were you guys going for?
Oh, Suburbanite was Mark's thing that he brought to me when I moved to New York. I knew him from the Aerosols records. He put out the Aerosols records. And we became friendly, and he said, "Do you want to sing in this band?" He gave me some references for what he thought it might sound like, and that was kind of what we did. And put out a 7-inch before we ever played a show, and then eventually played out live. Absolute Power was more pitched to me as like a studio project. It was kind of like, hey, here's a bunch of songs that me and Ian did. Do you want to do vocals on it? And I actually, there's a version. I should have brought this. I sent Mark 4 different versions of vocals for Absolute Power because, like, I have the low vocals I do in Suburbanite, and then I have the high vocals, which is kind of my natural voice. And I did both of those I took I took 4 songs from the Absolute Power recordings, did versions of that, and then I did one version where I sound like the guy from the singer Larry from the Darvasets. So like that very kind of like up and down like voice, it's Jello Biafra-esque. And I said, and then I did a version that was like shouted like DYS or something,
Okay.
or like my natural voice shouted but
Sick.
not screamed. And they all sounded pretty good, but everyone liked the natural scream the best. And that was just an LP's worth of songs. Took forever, right? Took forever to name the band, like literally years, and get Will and Andrew involved. And then our first show was at Cold Spring Hollow, but our first show was supposed to be, we got flown to Arizona to play this fest with Judge.
Whoa.
And American Nightmare and the Repos. And it was crazy.
Wait,
Twitching Tongues.
They flew you there, but you didn't play? Is that
No,
what
we
you're
did
saying?
play.
Oh,
We did
okay.
play. And when we landed, it was in 2016 during the campaign, because we landed as Trump's plane was taking off. Like we passed Trump's plane on the tarmac, which was very funny to me. We played that show. We played a night show. Absolute Power was not supposed to be a band that played that many shows, but we played like 4 or 5. And I think the other shows we played were 2 in Arizona and then 1 in Boston. I don't remember who we played with. Sorry, everybody. And we played a show with Negative Approach in New York, in Brooklyn, and we were horrible. I don't remember why. I just remember the show did not go well. And that was like one of the very few shows my partner saw, Laura, came to, and
Not impressed.
we just weren't good. And I was like, sorry, and she was like, it was fine. And she's not really super into hardcore, so it didn't necessarily matter. But and then one time I had to miss Passover because I had a suburbanite show on Passover, which was, I'll tell the family my hardcore band is playing, so I can't come to Passover this year.
The Gentiles just wrecking everything.
It was the
over
most
here.
Gentile thing I could do. It was like my punk band is playing. And her mother is literally teaches singing, gave singing lessons to Bette Midler and stuff. And despite all these bands that you've heard, she's like, he's a musical. He's very musical. And I'm like, I don't think she's ever heard any of my bands because it's screaming,
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So that's the differentiation. They were both Youth Attack projects that wound up playing a handful of shows, but we never toured. And I don't think we ever will. I don't know if I don't think we'll ever play again. I highly doubt it. And the last Suburbanite show was, I believe, at Cold Spring Hollow.
Yeah.
Fun
All right.
fact. Yeah.
So bouncing from those 2 bands, so right now, you have a band called Permanent Class.
Yes.
You guys have an EP, Days Go On.
I've been calling it a demo recently.
It got downgraded from an EP
I
to
just
a
thought
demo.
I didn't like the idea of not putting out a demo first. Yeah, I don't know.
That's fair. So Matt Wilga previously mentioned also in this band. I don't know. Other people in that band, what have they done?
Chris Heidel was, isn't it? He was also in the Cancer Kids.
Okay.
Really, him and Matt brought this handful of songs to me and said, hey, we want to do something that kind of sounds like Later Blitz, but we also want it to find itself. How every band starts with we want it to sound like X, and then it kind of becomes its own thing. And they knew Matt and I had kind of hit it off when we were in Suburbanite because we both were fans of Oi and fans of street punky kind of stuff. I got in his car once to go to Suburbanite practice, and he was listening to Oxymoron, and I was like, "Is this Oxymoron? I haven't heard this since I was high school. This is sick." So that was sort of how that one took root. And then the band, we eventually recruited more people to be in it, and I think the lineup on that recording was just the 3 of us, but Elizabeth, who recorded it, is our bass player now, and we got John from Forced Reality on second guitar, and we hope to play live soon. But everybody in the band had children kind of simultaneously, except for me and Elizabeth, and Chris already had a young child, so and this was right. The band literally formed shortly before COVID, and then COVID hit. When we were mixing this release, and so we've never played live. We would like to. We practice all the time. We're old, which happens. I'm Elizabeth's younger than me, but I am the young guy in the band in many respects, and I'm 42. So we'd like to. I'd like to re-record all these songs and the new songs we have and do an LP or something.
Yeah, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make Permanent Class first show, Western Mass, to be announced.
I think that's probably what happened. We were supposed to play a show, but it wound up not happening. But it was going to be in Western Mass.
Yeah.
And what are the ethics on that, John? Should we be playing in New York because we're a New York band, or?
No, I think everybody should play in Western Mass for their first show.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, again, that's what the bands I did with McCoy did. It was like our first shows. Suburbanite's first show was in Brooklyn. Actually, I take that back.
So we unfortunately are at the end of our time here. So I want to just say a few quick things. We are going to close with one of the Permanent Class tracks. I want to just thank everybody who keeps listening to this show. It's been a really fun project for me. And I hope that everybody has found some new stuff that maybe they hadn't heard before, that they're stoked on. And everybody who just listens to it week after week, whether you're listening live on the air or whether you're listening to it on Mixcloud, trying to keep everything organized for you all. Over on my Instagram, Screaming for Change Radio. Extra special thanks to Chris and Jeff for being here today. O'Coin, do you have any final words for the Western Mass and beyond listeners here before we hear Permanent Class?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you're struggling with mental health issues, don't be afraid to ask for help. Be open to assistance, and if you're struggling with sobriety, don't be afraid to find yourself at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, or to just try and cope, deal with it, and not suffer in silence. I think you find if you speak up, you have more people on your side than you might think. And other than that, Permanent Class, and I have some films that I'm currently working on, and I don't know if I can talk about them. I don't know, just look for my name in the credits. Watch documentaries, they'll show up.
All right, thanks, buddy. This is Permanent Class.
Thanks, and thanks for having me, John.